and the manual election return results in the manual election return shall prevail. This is a useless provision since both DER, digital election return, and MER, the manual election return, will in effect be one and the same. So it has to be clarified exactly how many tallies will actually be allowed. It's not clear to me that there is a manual tally because the Board of Election Inspectors are not recording whatever tallies they are doing. Next item about Section 10, the digital election return. What I think is that we need a correct understanding of current spreadsheet technology and current PKI digital signing technology. These are both necessary for the proper English wording of Section 10. I think Section 10 is not worded out in correct technical English. It is as if a computer consultant did not help in crafting this section. While the tally of votes is being carried out and the digital spreadsheet is being projected on the screen in real time, the IT guy can make a mistake in entering the taras or vote after the candidate's name. He can make such mistakes because he is human and humans make mistakes. That is why the IT guy must be allowed to make changes in the taras assignment according to a procedure that has to be agreed upon. One procedure is the following, and I'm suggesting this procedure. As soon as a poll official or watcher or the public notices that the IT guy has made a mistake in entering a taras, his attention should immediately be called and the spreadsheet should be corrected at once in full view of the public while the taras is erased from the wrong candidate's name and placed after the correct candidate's name. And while this correction is being done, the projector is showing the correction in real time. I'm pointing this out because there is a statement in the proposed bill saying that the spreadsheet cannot be modified in any way. That is wrong because while the spreadsheet is being created, people should be able to modify it in order to correct errors. After the counting is finished at the end of election day, and after the digital election return is saved on a secure SD card as a DER, digital election return file, the three members of the BEI, Chairman Paul Clerk, and I don't know the name of the other position, will digitally sign the DER file. They don't digitally encrypt the SD card or the medium. They digitally sign using their individual private signing keys. This digital signing will preserve the authenticity of the DER file and prevent any dagdag bawas from happening. After the digitally signed DER file, digital election return file, is saved on the secure SD card, the SD card can be set to read-only mode. There are SD cards that can be set to read-only after it's written, but only after what you want to be written are already written to the SD card. You put the SD card in read-only mode so that no changes to any file on the card can be made after you've made it read-only. I'm suggesting in Section 10 that we add something about the format of the digital election return. The digital election return file should be saved from the spreadsheet file into a comma-delimited text file. The CDF file is a plain text file and should be the standard format of the DER file. The advantage of the CDF format for the DER file, digital election return file, is that the CDF can be read by all receivers of the file. Like, for example, the Municipal Canvassing Center, the PPCRV servers, and the NGOs, and will not require any special programs to understand them. After verification of the digital signature, the 3BI of the 3BI officials, in order to ensure that no dagdag-bawas happened and that the DR file is authentic, the CDF format DR file can immediately be used for canvassing at the higher levels without use of any special program, simply because the CDF format is human-readable text file. Unlike the file formats used by Smartmatic, which is binary file and uses special programs made only by Smartmatic and supplied only by them. This is, I think, very important that everyone is able to verify the authenticity and use the resulting authentic file in further processing. If the CDF format is used, both the COMELEC and non-governmental organizations, after verifying that the CDF file is authentic, can do their own canvas and check its others' canvases. And they should produce the same count because each one of them is capable of verifying authenticity of documents used for the individual canvases. That's my first set of comments for Senate Bill number 7. And then I have a second set of comments, which is a proposal for a mix of election systems for the Philippine elections of 2022. We know that,
Dr. Manalastas?
yes, ma'am.
Yes, we're already in our 9-minute mark. So,
Okay.
Yes. So probably we can, for the next set of comments, maybe.
Dana, yeah.
Yes.
Doctor, I understand that you have a submission. I received it, and the second part of your submission indicates that what you're thinking about is a hybrid system, and then in other places where there's I don't quite understand the full complement of watchers, and other places when there's no full complement of all watchers, you are thinking there should be a fully automated system. So dalawang sistema, parang mahirap tanggapin yata ng tao yan na paiba-iba.
Actually, if you read the first part of my proposal, the Smartmatic system is favored by the PEI in many places because it makes their job so easy.
Tama.
It's not something that people like because people want to see the counting and canvassing being done.
That's right.
But there are only very few places. I was an election. I was a watcher for PPCRV in 1 or 2 elections in the past before computerization happened, and I was the only watcher. There were only 3 people in the. I was a watcher in Quezon Avenue corner. There's a school, maritime school near.
Pinapanood namin yung Cable Girls.
Opo.
Las Chicas.
Anyway, there were only 2 people in the precinct, and there were no watchers at all except for the TPCRB watcher, who is me. And the 2.
Magpapalit po tayo. Magpapalit-palit tayo ng sistema. Depende kung sinong sumipot ng watcher. Hindi naman natin masasabi kung sino makakasipot sa araw na yun. Kaya medyo mahirap yata yung depende sa may watcher at hindi sumipot yung watcher, biglang mag-hybrid o fully automated. Baka walang pumayag ng ganyan eh.
And anyway, the proposal, I think, is based on previous experience, and I think if political parties can commit to produce their complete list of watchers 1 year before election time,
1 year po?
I think if a political party is serious, because you have to give elect time to prepare the two technologies, because you will be using two technologies. The problem with past elections is the COMELEC didn't have enough time to properly prepare. I think even if you're just saying you'll be using a spreadsheet, you need other support programs. It's not just a question of using spreadsheets. You need so many support programs, like you need programs to automatically prepare the templates for each of the around 56,000 ERs, so that the names are already printed there in those ERs, and leaving space for the number of votes and so on. I mean, many of these things can be computerized, even if you're doing a manual count.
Okay, thank you very much po.
Thank you.
Are there any questions, or is there a subsequent presentation, Dina?
From for Attorney Hubert Guevara po.
Guevara.
Attorney Hubert Guevara.
Hubert Guevara. Who are you representing, Attorney Guevara po? Do you represent the group, or are you coming as an individual?
I'm a source code reviewer, Madam Senator.
Po?
For the past, I'm a source code
Source
reviewer,
code
Madam
reviewer.
Senator.
Aling group? Sorry, I don't hear very well.
Madam Senator, it's my advocacy. It's a personal advocacy, and I was a source code reviewer for 2016 and 2019 election.
Yes, but you're not representing any NGO or other electoral stakeholders group.
None, Madam Senator.
Okay. Was there a position paper previously submitted, like Dr. Mananastas?
Not Madam Senator. In fact, I just
Okay.
got the bill when I got the invite from Attorney Dina, but I can submit a position paper
right.
until the 3 days. But there's a few
Okay.
recommendations now, Madam Senator.
All right, please.
On Section 5, Madam Senator, it speaks of the printing of official ballots. It says here, if I may just read, the printing of official ballots shall be exclusively done by the National Printing Office. If I may add, using the printing machines that it owns. Padagdag lang po yun. Kasi
Sorry?
ang pagkakaintindi namin po, yes.
Ano daw, yung printing machine? Medyo mahina internet, pasensya, hindi ko narinig.
Yes,
Ano raw?
gusto ko lang po ipadagdag is that yung official ballot shall be printed by the National Printing Office.
Yes, I understand, yes. I have with me the bill, thank you.
Yeah, using the
Ano yung gusto mo? Sorry.
Dagdag ko lang po yun.
Ano idadagdag?
Previous election. Using
Anong
the printing
idadagdag
machine-
sa Section 5? Sorry.
Yeah, the phrase, Madam Senator, using the printing machines it owns. Madam Chair, can you hear me?
I'm sorry, Attorney Guevara, you lost me.
Yeah, Madam Chair, can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear me, Madam Chair?
Yeah,
Hello. Dana, can you hear me, Dana?
a little bit.
Mahina po, Attorney Guevara. Mahina yung...
Sige. I will just turn off my video para kung marinig mo lang. Can you hear me now, Dana?
Yes,
Yes, clear now. Clear.
little bit.
Yes. Paragdag lang, Madam Chair, na yung the phrase using the printing machines it owns.
Using the machine? Sorry.
Using the printing machines it owns.
Okay. Yung walang subcontract sa mga alanganin ng mga printers sa iba't ibang apartment houses now.
Yes po, opo.
I understand.
Okay. Pangalawa po, Madam Chair, ang tanong ko lang dito kasi merong mga provision dito, lalo na sa Section 10 sa Digital Election Returns po, naka-indicate po dito yung pag-transmit sa secure servers. Ang tanong lang po dito is ano po ang ibig sabihin ng secure servers? Ano po ang mga servers na ito? Base po sa aming pagsusuri at pag-experience noong 2016 at 2013, 2016 at 2019 elections, umamin po ang si COMELEC po na meron po sila ginagamit na transmission router server. Ang pagkakaintindi po natin lahat na mula sa presinto, binabato ang mga election return kagad sa COMELEC server o sa transparency server. Hindi po na ipakita sa atin na bago ibato pala sa transparency server o sa COMELEC server, National Canvassing Center server, meron pala tinatawag na transmission router server. Ang tanong lang po dito is, meron ho ba tayong gagamitin na transmission router server sa hybrid elections nito? Bakit po importante ang malaman ito? Importante ho natin malaman to na kung meron tayong gagamitin na transmission router server, dapat po sa larangan po ng transparency ng election, dapat po natin malaman kung sino-sino ang namamahala sa transmission router server na ito, saan po ito nakalagay, sino po ang pwedeng magmanipula, ang pwedeng pong gumamit ng transmission router server na to. Ang problema kasi dito, kung ang resulta mo sa presinto ay 10, dapat po pagdating mo sa transparency, sa canvassing center, sa COMELEC server, dapat 10 po rin dapat ibabato. Hindi po natin alam kung noong 2019 lalo na, kung sino ang namamahala dito sa transmission router na to, at kung meron pong pumasok na tao at meron pong gumalaw sa router na server na ito. Yan lang po. Isa pa po, number 3 po, Madam Chair, ang gusto ko po malaman ay ito pong memory card. Ang laptop po na gagamitin po ay merong memory card. Ang tanong ko lang po naman dito, Madam Chair, kasi hindi po malinaw dito sa bill na to, is itong memory card na ba ito, sino ho magja-generate na to? At saan po i-generate ang memory card? Diyan po ba sa Laguna? Paano po ang memory card ay naging na-corrupt po siya? At ang isang laptop ay sabihin natin nasa Cagayan de Oro. Mula ba sa Laguna dadali ng memory card at papadala sa Cagayan de Oro para magamit doon? O magkakaroon na naman po tayo ng tinatawag na regional hub? Ano po ang sistema ng regional hub? Siguro po para lang mas malinaw natin, malaman at mailagay na rin sa batas natin ang mga kalakaran ito, siguro po mas maganda na i-discuss na rin dito sa batas, panukalang batas, yung mga aspeto nito. Regional hub, transmission router server kung meron po. Yan lang po, Madam Chair, ang aking mungkahi po. Salamat po.
Yes, thank you very much, Attorney Guevara. Parang narinig ko naman yung kapatid ko. Okay. Dana, siguro marami talagang katanungan tungkol dito sa mga digital ER, pati memory card, lahat ng mga SD at ano mga sinasabing digital. Alam po ninyo, merong more or less na consensus na yung actual voting gagawin pa rin dun sa itsurang yung itsurang ginagamit natin ngayon. Wala naman tanong dun. Ang question lang, if we could simplify it and instead of the ovals, gawa na lang ng one line na square and similar to the lotto. Parang very familiar sa lahat. I'd like to recognize also my good friend, Senator Francis Tolentino, na malalim rin ng ugot katulad ng kapatid ko sa mga bagay tungkol sa eleksyon. Maliban dyan, afternoon, Francis. Okay, and yes, I think those are significant points, and I really have to call on the IT groups here to please come and help. So, are there any comments or suggestions with regard to the queries raised by Attorney Guevara? Was that Dindo Donato raising his hand, or were you just checking your signal? Are there any questions, or perhaps Senator Francis would like to make a statement? We're trying to get through, Francis, yung medyo pinag-uusapan natin, na talagang yung tumahan, ganun pa rin. Pero pwera sa oval para hindi magkamali. Kasi dun sa both ends, talagang nagkaka-problema. Gawin na lang square or rectangular para nababasa ng computer na walang mintis. Tapos imbes na shade, i-check na lang, i-cross o i-linya katulad ng loto. So parang doon nakasundo pa so far. Ang problema natin, yung manual counting, kumbaga, sa ating presinto. Kasi yun ang gusto ng tao. Sabi nga ni Professor Manalastas, ayaw ng tao na sinusubo yung balota, tapos hindi na nila nakikita yung bilangan. Yun talaga malaking problema, hindi tapat ng Pilipino na hindi nakikita yung bilangan. So dun sa bill ni Senate President, may para system, whether manual or digital through a projector, makikita pa rin sa precinct level ng tao yung mga boto being tallied. So, kumbaga, whether it's done through projector or through the old school teacher with a piece of chalk on a blackboard, whichever it is, there will be a manual precinct count. Tama po ba yun?
Yeah.
Any reactions po to what we've said or agreed upon so far? Is that Mr. Donato raising his hand? Or are you checking signal po?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay.
Yes,
Apo Donato, please proceed.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, we just want to, this is Dito Donato from Tandem. We just want to raise one point to make it simple. We would like the tally open. So during the last hearing, there was a presentation that they will show each ballot on the screen. So that's fine. Showing each ballot. But for us, that's not enough. The tally, aside from the ballot, that should be shown. So
What should be,
whether
aside
it's a
from the
blackboard or
ballot?
it's a projector, it's
I'm sorry, aside from the ballot, ano yun? Ha?
tally, ma'am, the tally. That's
Oh
the
yeah, of course. Of course. Siyempre, yung tally, pagkatapos yung tara ng teacher, kung old school, o kung may pera tayo, ipo-project. Tama ba yun?
Yes, ma'am. As long as it's shown, then we're okay. Yeah.
Yes, I'm in receipt of your position paper that you kindly submitted nung last year pa, and we are in agreement that the public demands, Filipinos demand that there should be an open count in addition to free voting. Tama po ba? Yun ang point natin lahat.
Yes. That's all, ma'am. Yeah.
Yes, sang-ayon tayo dyan. Gusto talaga natin makita eh. Hindi tayo makakontento na isusubo sa machine at bahala na yung makina sa buhay natin. Ayaw tayo pumayag ng ganon. So, how would that be workable? As a general rule, parating nag-o-object dyan, lahat ng mga taga-Mindanao. Sa atin na lang, alam naman ninyo, talaga naman yan ang reklamo at daing nila. Kapag may manual voting sa precinct level, baka mag-umpisa na naman ang butukan, ang gulo, ang walang kasapusang brownout, ang ballot snatching, ang ballot box snatching, at kung ano-ano pang mga karumal-dumal na events. So, eto ang iniiwasan. Ano naman ang maisasagot natin sa ganyan? Kung ima-manual, kahit projected manual, yung ating precinct count, paano naman natin maiiwasan ang karahasan? Ang balik karahasan, yun ang problema. Kasi magre-reklamo talaga yung mga politiko dyan. Okay, ako Donato, you have a follow-up idea?
Yes, ma'am. Basically, if to speed up the count, we will just use the receipts. The names are already there, and then I believe in the new system, there will be only 200 voters per precinct. By 12 o'clock, it's done. Maybe in 2 to 3 hours, it's done. So usually, violence will result if your count would extend like for 1 week, several days. Ayan na, uuwi, lasing, mag-aaway na yan. But if you finish that on the same night, 2 to 3 hours, we can avoid the violence, I think, ma'am.
So I think that's a very real point that you do it quickly and therefore painlessly. May ganun talaga, may factor na ganun. Kaya nga lang, alam naman natin, talagang kung minsan, marami pa rin nangyayari, no? So I think is that Eric Alvia, tama po ba yun, who's raising his hand? I'd like to recognize. I see Toti Casino also raising his hand, so we'll follow that sequence. Eric, please. Yes, Eric, please.
Welcome to Della Rosa 2 Parking.
Eric Alvia, please. You may proceed. Medyo nawawala pa si Toti Casino muna, and then we go back to Eric, who was ahead. Toti, if you would.
Yes, good afternoon, ma'am. I concur with Attorney Dindo Donato. We can have the result generated instantly. We can already transmit it and have it displayed on a website.
I'm sorry, what will be displayed on the website? Sorry, what would be displayed on the website, please?
The results of the precinct level. So the websites are contained every single precinct level. As you tally it and you have it on the Tara, as the people see it, immediately the results can be uploaded on a website that will have the precinct total of the particular district or local municipality.
Ma'am Toti, actually, Manong Toti, kung tutuusin, yung nakaraang hearing, hindi na lamang website, kundi an entirely dynamic procedure, meaning na ila-live stream lahat ito. Hanggat maaari, ila-live stream. Siyempre, depende na naman sa wifi, sa meeting pa lang na ito, hirap na tayo sa signal. Kaya medyo ambisyoso nga itong sinasabi. Pero ideally, ila-live stream, kapag hindi live stream, may pinag-uusapan na may aatasan ng mga media, filmmaker, at kung sino-sino pang mga stakeholders, ang ating NAMFREL, ang BPCRB, na i-film na rin ang bilangan para talagang sigurado tayo. And like you said, kung talagang hindi kaya yung live streaming, i-upload agad sa website. Tama po ba yun? Yung ideal kasi live stream.
Yes, ma'am. But for practical purposes, maliit lang ang size in terms of transmitting data than video. So instantly, you can already have the result flashed on the screen, and you can already check from your own camera to see whether the results are equally what is already posted on the website. The website is the minimum. The video stream is the maximum. But at least on a website, it's already physically transported or transmitted on a public site.
Okay, yes, sang-ayon tayo dyan. I seem to see on my screen Commissioner Casquejo, natapos na po ba yung inyong unback? So, Commissioner Casquejo is with us, I see. Tapos na po yung unback ninyo. You can join the hearing na po. Okay, very good. So, we'll just recognize Eric Alvia, then we will allow Commissioner Casquejo to make his presentation. Eric Alvia, if you are able to get through, please proceed.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, unmute na lang kasi nag-automatic mute kayo. Okay, Okay, Dana, mukhang may problema pa rin si Eric sa kanyang signal. Eric, can you come through? Oh, ayan, wala ka lang unmute.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. We agree, ma'am, with regards to what you mentioned, that definitely transmission has to be in an automated manner. We also agree that some form of tallying after the manual count has to be done. But we realize also the difficulty. We've already submitted our papers since last year. And
Yes.
studies since last year. Recently, just now, I think the mechanics that has to be done and be focused on would be one on how to make the counting transparent as possible at the precinct level. One is we can either adopt the existing shading system for the ballot, or we can come out with a different ballot form. It could be probably we can affix the number to the particular candidate. So it would be easier and for the counting later on. No? So that's one form. No? And another would be, siguro we've been talking about the digital certificates and the PKI. Probably this could be incorporated in a standard, no, for our elections, so agnostic of technology. No? So a standard for the machine or the hardware that we will be using. Another would be the software, the canvassing software. Another probably would be the standards for identification for using the digital certificates. So essentially, it's contained in the study in the reports that were submitted to the committee na. So
Yes, that's right.
support your position that has to be really as
Thank you very
transparent as
much.
possible.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Alvia. And that's right. I think we're already in agreement, more or less, with the COMELEC as well, that a more familiar ballot would contain not an oval, yung itlog na sinasabi, kundi medyo square or else rectangular para madali at automatic basahin ng machine. Kasi yung shading dun sa oval, maraming may natitira sa magkabila, nagkakaduda pa. So, we were thinking, yun nga, na parang loto nga, isang linya na lang, check na lang, text na lang, tapos naka-square or rectangle, parang wala nang mali-mali. Pagkatapos noon, yung digital certificates, yung PKI, dahil po tayo. Although, ang sabi naman ng DOST at DICT, kaya na raw nila, sabi ni Yusek Trillo noon, kaya na raw nilang basahin yung digital signature at every point in the transmission. So, I hope that's correct. Yung software, standard, ito medyo bloody to kasi walang gusto magpaliwanag. Kaya siguro, kailangan na tanungin natin ng maigi sa TWG and the IT identification sa ating digital certificates. So these are very important points, and as you rightly said, you had already submitted a comprehensive position last year pa. So thank you very much for the support.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. So, Secretary Dana, is there anyone else, or shall we launch into Commissioner Casquejo's PowerPoint?
The presentation of Commissioner Casquejo na po, ma'am.
Sige. So, we invite Commissioner Marlon to show us his presentation regarding the proposals for the new hybrid system.
Okay, good afternoon, Madam Chair. Good afternoon sa iba sa mga participants. We have some two-dimensional to the presentation which we create, and then I want it to be played. I don't know kung na-receive na ba ng Secretariat with the two-dimensional. Can we play it first, and then after the presentation, I will discuss more on the automated manual counting aspect. I will do also my share
Pwede
in the
tayo
screen.
Meron. Okay, sandali lang po. I-isin lang po namin.
It's only about 2-minute presentation to the presentation. That will cover the concept of the hybrid automated manual counting.
Dana, mapapalabas ba ninyo?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, sige, why don't you upload it now on our screens para we can share it properly.
Okay. Kaya ba yun, sir? I-consult ko lang po kung kaya sabay na while we are sharing it. Ay, i-share po muna, no, before Commissioner will talk. Will
Share lang
discuss.
muna.
Hindi, sabi ni Commissioner, mauna daw yung palabas. Mauna na lang. Kasi hindi pwedeng isabay magulo dito sa Cisco.
Sige po, sige po.
Kailangan ng palabas lang muna. Although, pwede mag-voice over.
Ay.
Wala pa.
Dana, how are we doing?
Sorry, may technical difficulties lang po. Downloading na po. Okay.
Okay. It was just emailed just this morning, Madam Chair. Kaya siguro hindi pa na-download. Through email.
Napanood ko naman Madali lang yan, maliit lang yung file.
Mm-hmm.
Mabagal po dito, ma'am.
Ha?
Mabagal po dito. Basta ilang minutes.
2 minutes lang naman.
Oo nga. Dana, how much longer?
Kung meron po sa file ni Commissioner Casquejo, pwede rin po siyang kung meron po sa computer niyo, sir, I think you can share na po without us giving control po sa inyo.
Ayan ang wala ako.
Okay po. We apologize po. We're still downloading. Doon po kasi sa host computer nagda-download po.
Pero kanina pa naman binigay yan.
Yes po. I apologize, ma'am. Hindi ko po na-forward po kagad sa host computer. Dito ko po siya nalagay sa aking personal. Ano? Pwede? Pasensya na po. Ba't siya? Mag-share ng control.
Well, Madam Chair, while waiting siguro, Madam Chair, I can proceed with my share of my explanation as to the automated manual counting. Kasi
Yes,
ready na yung i-share ko rin.
Okay.
During the presentation, okay. So, i-share ko lang. Hanapan ko muna na sana yun. Movies. Andiyan na ba yan yung video? May lumabas na sa screen.
Yes, oo, meron na.
Okay, the tally sheet. Okay.
Opo.
Okay. So the concept of this automated manual counting is we still use we still apply the same concept of automated manual voting. We still use the official ballots by shading, but instead of shading, we use now the lotto type. So after the shading of the ballots, after the close of polls, the electoral board will now arrange, ayusin nila yung setup nila with the projector and the bar scanner. So once it is already prepared, nakalagay na, automatic it will display on the projector the tally sheet. The tally sheet, if you notice, this this is similar to the tally sheet that we are using, and then you have here the clustered precinct number, this clustered precinct and barangay, and so on and so forth. And then the number of registered voters and the number of ballot scan or ballot voted is 650. We presume na hindi naman 100% yung voting doon. So we have also a counter of the ballot scan that is 650. So initially, since wala pa tayong nasa scan na ballots, all the votes are 0. So lahat naman dito, we just, example lang is president, vice president, vote as all 0. And then the voter, the electoral board now will scan the voter's receipt. So once the voter receipt is scanned, the official ballot image, which the voter corresponds to the voter's receipt, will be reflected on the screen. Now what the electoral board chairman will do is holding the voter's receipt, looking at the shaded ballots, he will now verify. The electoral board will verify whether the one that appears in the voter's receipt is the one shaded by the voter. So in this example, he shaded number 2 candidate, Ambrosio Ginto, for president, and number 4 candidate for the vice president. And then if once the electoral board has already verified that it is same vote as appearing in the ballot image and the one holding with the voter's receipt, then after that one, you will click the accept button. So after verifying, then the electoral board will click the accept button. Once it is accepted, then automatic it will tally. If you notice, there is a tally vote for Jared and a tally vote for Claridad Case. And pwede naman i-verify niya ulit kung tama ba yung tally. Then, after that one, we'll click next for the next ballot to be scanned. For the next ballot to be scanned, then click get the other voter's receipt, then ballot scan. If you notice, again, it will display the ballot image corresponding to the voter's receipt. So, i-check na ulit ng electoral board kung tama ba yung binoto dito vis-a-vis doon sa hawak niya na voter's receipt. And that can be seen by the watchers at the back. So, yung mga watcher, ni chairman yung voter's receipt, makikita nila na yung nakasulat doon, ang binoto is number 2 candidate. And then, ang lalabas doon na sinade nila ng botante is number 2 also. So once it is again verified, then the electoral board will just click accept. So once it is accepted, automatically it will tally. So once accepted the votes, the votes, then it will tally. If you notice, may boto na si Ginto. And also with the vice president, may boto na rin. And then that will proceed, continue lang yung process until such time na tapos na yung the last ballot, tapos na scan. If you notice, ballot scan is 2 out of 650. So another ballot scan, so example ko lang dito is 3 ballot, and then after this one, that will be the end of the 650 of the 650 ballots. So in this kind of presentation, nakikita ng mga watchers, voters, and the public projected on the screen on how the ballots is being read and canvassed and consolidated. So, ito, if you notice, may boto na rin. And then also si the number 5 candidate may boto. And then next. And then the last will be the last ballot. If you notice, if you say we have the last ballot, that is 650 of 650 ballots scanned. So, once scanned na lahat, then that's it. That's the end of the automated manual counting. So that is the gist of the enhancement that I prepared for that, Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Casquejo. I think the primary question here is, are we done or pwede na mag-interrupt? Sorry.
Okay na po, Chair. Okay na po, Madam Chair.
Hindi, kasi pinag-usapan na natin to, medyo magkasundo na tayo sa itsura ng balot. Ayun nga, mga square o kaya rectangular, tapos lotto type, hindi na shading para wala ng diskusyon. Tapos pinag-usapan natin na may projector at magbibilanan. Ang problema kasi, maraming nag-o-object pa rin, kasi instead na manual count that will corroborate the ER, ang problema kasi, yung ER pa rin ang uuwian, which is still tantamount to a machine count. So yung hinihingi ng iba, yung actual manual count doon sa projector, laban sa pinasubo sa machine. Ano po sa tingin ninyo? Kasi maraming politiko na makiwari nila, gusto pa rin nila may hawak silang manual count sa presinto. Whether through projector o yung tara-tara system ng ating mga guro na nasa chalk at blackboard. Ano pa sa tingin ninyo? Kasi pareho rin electronic yun eh.
Yes, Madam Chair. We can include that in the transmission, yung tally sheet. So we can include that in the transmission tally sheet so that they can download it and then they can have it printed. So they have a copy of the automated tally sheet that was done although automatically or through automated.
Pero hindi ba, Commissioner, after the fact na yun, kasi bilang na eh. Pero during the counting, may gusto sila na talagang makita yung counting, whether projected or old school. Gusto nila makita yon laban sa mga balota na sinusubol sa machine. Pwede ba natin gawin yon so that you have a manual count and then you have the ER na in the event of a dispute or difference.
Wala po audio kaming madinig.
Sorry?
Well,
Wala po kaming madinig ng audio.
I see. Okay.
Well, Madam Chair, that is also possible. That will be a count of the automated and the manual. But we need additional manpower for that because aside from doing the scanning and also the manual counting, you need additional manpower and also additional budget for the additional paper. Well, but that is possible.
I cannot hear any audio.
Magkaroon tayo ng parallel manual and automated counting.
Yes, Dr. Langastas, dinig na dinig namin kayo. Yes, Commissioner. Pero di ba natin naman nagagawa natin yan with the teachers, even without the digital at that point in time?
Since 2010 elections, wala na tayong manual tally sheet. Kasi equivalent doon is yung ERs na lang, election returns na lang ang equivalent doon. And then automatic tapos na.
Tama, everything went not to the automatic and automated. I wanted to ask also, yung iba naman may duda kasi nagkaroon na tayo ng discrepancy between the resibo and the ballot. So, is it possible na tulad ng grocery, lagyan na lang ng barcode sa balota?
Yung barcode kasi natin, it was implemented in 2010, 2013, 2016. Ngayon lang sa 2019, parang nag-enhance yung natin, yung balota natin. We use the QR code. So we can always go back to barcodes naman. Wala namang problema doon kasi it's just more on yung maraming laman lang kasi yung QR code, but there are things naman doon na laman na hindi naman kailangan. So we can always go back to the barcode of the balota, yung ating official ballots.
Yes, I think Yes po, we'll leave it to the technical people. The barcode clearly is infinitely simpler. But what I'm asking po is...
I have lost audio.
Yes, Doctor, we can hear you po. What I was asking, Commissioner po, is the distinction kasi dun sa balota, wala naman siyang barcode or QR, nasa receipt. What if we put it also in the ballot para wala nang duda na iba yung content ng resibo at iba pa?
Sa 2019, Madam Chair, we have QR code both in the ballot and the voter's receipt. And if babalik tayo sa barcodes, wala nang problema. It will be easier and simpler pag barcode naman.
Kapag barcode, pwede kahit dalawa, di ba? Yung balota mismo at yung resibo mismo may barcode.
Yes, tama po. Kasi yung QR code naman ng balota at saka yung voter's receipt, pareho lang din.
That's the same. Kaya kung minsan nagpakaduda kasi hindi nakikita doon. Sabi na may ibang lumalabas sa number.
Yes.
Masyadong suspicioso Pilipino eh. Ano ba kapag ang kinatatakutan ko ngayon, Commissioner, wala tayong pera dahil nauubos yata sa COVID. Kapag walang pambili ang gobyerno para sa ating projector, yung ating first option, yun talaga gusto natin, no? I-project lahat makakita, no? Yung simple water sa likod. Anong alternatibo? Babalik din tayo sa pencil pen at sa craft paper or blackboard o pwede ba yun?
Pwede naman kasi we have the screen naman with nandun naman sa screen ng VCM or ng machine. Kaya lang medyo maliit talaga yung screen ng machine natin. We cannot use the old VCM if we apply this concept. We have to lease a new machine with a bigger screen and high resolution of the screen para ma-display yung dalawa. Kapag wala tayong dagdag na projector and yung projector or screen, that is possible naman na magtara-tara dyan. Just ma-check lang doon sa projector. Kaya lang, maliit lang talaga yung screen ngayon, yung machine natin. And we have a study naman with the amount of the projector and the barcodes. It will cost around 25,000 siguro. And if we purchase 100,000 of that because we are expecting 100,000 cluster percent, we might add around 2.5 billion for the projector and the barcode.
May pagkukulang kaya tayo ng 2.5 billion kasi kinatatakotan ko lagi yung budget natin dahil nga sa sitwasyon ngayon. So 2.5 billion doesn't seem to be a huge cost for democracy. What do you think po? Kakayanin kaya?
Ngayon, kasi we presented our budget with the DBM, we are asking about 24 billion for the all-new machines, lease of machines. And then if we add 2.5 billion, so we need around 26 billion. That is conservative naman po. And then that is all new machines. So I don't know if the DBM will give the COMELEC with that budget. Pag binigyan naman tayo ng budget ng DBM na ganun, then that is possible. But if the DBM will cut the budget half, then I don't know if we can do that because the old VCM is not capable of projecting because of the smaller screen and the resolution of the screen.
Makakatipid na lang po tayo kapag sinabi yung mga LGU at mga eskwelahan na may projector, sila na muna ang mag-comment. Ano nangyari sa mga lumang VCM na sinasabi na are inadequate? Yung 2019 VCMs, are you saying that they're inadequate?
Hindi naman inadequate in the sense na hindi siya capable of doing the projecting of the results nung splitting of the screen because of the resolution of the screen of the VCM. So, kailangan talagang mag-list tayo ng bago if we implement the automated manual counting. So, I don't know what will happen with the VCM. Maybe we can ipa-buy back natin sa owner o sa or we can donate it whatsoever.
I see. Just to interrupt, Dana, Secretary Dana, if we're not able to open the file, Still?
Ready na po. Ready na po.
Okay na? Panoorin natin maganda eh.
Okay.
Okay, maraming salamat. Thank you. Dana?
Okay po, panapatanggal ko na lang po yung share screen.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, salamat. Hindi, tinatanong kasi nung iba, maraming nagte-text sa akin ngayon na ibang nandyan sa meeting, yung iba naman mga Miron, alam mo na, hindi daw hybrid ang proposal ni Commissioner Casqueo kasi wala namang manual aspect. Up there, i-compare lang yung VVPAT at yung ER. Both are produced by the machine. Hindi na po ba pwede na may manual counting per precinct lang naman. Pag tumugma yung ER at yung manual, saka lang itatransmit. Kasi ang nangyayari raw sa Singapore at sa ibang lugar, kasi yung Singapore ang pinaka-latest na national election, may manual count muna, tapos may digital count na electronic to corroborate lang. Ano sa doon sa suggestion na gano'n? Na may manual talaga, tapos for verification, may electronic count to follow. Yes, Commissioner po. Yes, Commissioner. Dana, can you hear? Dana?
Yes po, narinig ko po kayo.
Can you hear me? Commissioner, okay rin daw ba kung may manual count mismo, whether projected or not projected, at the precinct level only?
Well, yes, Madam Chair. Parang ang nangyari dyan is we're doing the random manual audit at the precinct level. So, nagkakaroon tayo ng parang audit on all the clustered precincts. Ganun ang magiging proseso niyan. But ang tanong lang diyan, gaano katagal? How long will it take to have also the parallel manual counting?
That's right.
Need
Kasi,
additional manpower.
opo, kasi the time, in terms of time, may sinasabi tayo na 2 to 4 hours, depende. Tapos yung in terms of personnel, talagang wala nang masyadong tao yung COMELEC, although pwede kayo mag-delegate. Tapos, may issue rin yung mga taga-Mindanao na laging nagte-text. Kapag may manual counting sa presinto, pabalik na daw ang karahasan at ang gulo. Baka may electoral violence na naman.
Malamang baka ganun ang mangyari, Madam Chair. And alam mo naman na it's been naging rampant na rin yan during the manual elections. I've been through manual elections in 2004 and 2007. Ganun talaga yung naging issue, yung violence, threat, intimidation. So, nung naging automated tayo, masaya yung mga teachers natin kasi they are no longer subjected to any threats and intimidations. Although meron, pero hindi na masyado gaano compared to the manual elections. So, I share the sentiments of the Electoral Board also kasi sila yung frontliners namin. If we go back to purely manual counting, even if it is paralleled with the automated counting, pagkakamali lang ng Electoral Board, magkakaroon na ng discrepancy as to the manual and the automated count, then magkakaroon na ng problema. Baka magkaroon ng gulo on the precinct level of that. But then again, it's more on the preparation lang din naman. If patuloy talaga yon, it's more on the preparation and the security of our Electoral Board.
Tama po. Kasi Senator Nancy, Senator Francis, yung mga politiko, medyo divided tayo dyan. Yung iba kasi gusto na makita talaga para may panghawakan pag may protesta. Yung iba naman, kinatatakutan na mababalik tayo sa mga dating insidente ng karahasan. Any opinions po from our senators here present?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Francis. Is that Francis?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, go ahead, Francis.
I hope we have any member of the academy present and listening from our resource persons. Kung wala, para sa lahat na lang. So I'm looking at it from the perspective of our current COVID-19 experience. After our 2 weeks ago, that was 2 weeks ago, hearing a Committee on Energy hearing, I think Senator Nancy was that. I have been always thinking out loud that perhaps this COVID-19 experience, for instance, in terms of the Meralco bill, Meralco, this is related to our topic. Meralco has always explained that the surge in our Meralco billing was probably due to their estimate using technology, etc., etc. And it will apply to all our resource persons. A single document will not probably convince you that your billing was just that. You cannot accept that hook, line, and sinker. This is what happened to our consumers. Our consumers would want to visit a Meralco office and have an explanation bakit tumaas na ganito yung kuryente ko. Gusto pa magkaroon ng person-to-person experience. And this is what's gonna happen after the first grading period, second grading period of the DepEd blended teaching module. Parents, students will not be convinced even if the teachers are checking the papers, exam papers or what have you, online. They will have to be convinced, ito ba talaga yung grade ko? So, kailangan din magkaroon ng person-to-person, manual checking, validation, etc., etc. And the same goes through with the voting process. Even if a machine would say, this is the figure, candidates or even a ward leader would want to have that verified and validated personally. And you cannot do that. You cannot have a validation as to the number of votes talking to a machine or even a teacher or the head of the Bureau of Board of Election Inspector. So I'm with the chair, I'm with the sponsors on having a hybrid insofar as the validation is concerned. Convincing me as a candidate, convincing me as a voter, convincing me as a ward leader that this amount, this account is a true reflection of the votes garnered in that precinct. Similar to the Meralco, similar to the prospective DepEd experience, which we will be experiencing in a few months from now. So I'm with the good chair, Senator Marcos, that we have to have a receipt. But the bottom line is to convince personally the voter or the other members of the general public that this reflects the true will of the people in that particular voting center. Yun lang po, Madam Chair. Yun lang po, naka-off pala yung naka-off pala yung video. Oo. It just goes na hindi pa tayo technology savvy, but it's first time given this COVID experience, pati yung mga yaya, yung mga nasa bahay, dahil mag-online po yung mga bata, talaga matututo sa computer yan. Pero again, the bottom line here is the transparency which we have done through the years na nakikita po natin yung bilangan kahit hanggang alas 2, alas 3 na. Kinagistan ko na po yan, ma'am. May mga dala kaming termo sa presinto ng kape para manood lang ng bilangan. Lahat na po nakita ko na po lahat ng eleksyon. Salamat po.
Thank you for your support, Francis. At tama po yun. Ako talaga gusto talaga makita yung actual. Senator Nancy, thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes, please, Nancy.
Madam Chair, gusto ko lang balikan yung nabanggit ni Commissioner Marlon na 24 billion. Yung presentation niya ba kanina, that is the 24 billion type of election?
Madam Chair, yes, I guess that will be the amount because we have to lease a new machines for that. We cannot use the old VCM, although in my presentation we just use the VCM, but in reality we cannot use the old VCM. It's not capable of projecting split screen for that.
Mr. Marlon, binigay niyo na to sa DBM for the 2021 budget?
Yes, we have already submitted sa DBM pero hindi kasama yung projector at saka yung barcode, although it just amounting to 2.5 billion lang naman. Pwede namang hanapan ng budget yan. But the all new, na-submit na po namin sa DBM and we're still awaiting for the decision ng DBM kung magkano yung ibigay sa amin.
And so far, wala pa kayong feedback? Kasi alam naman ho natin na money is very much a problem ngayon. So, ang laking amount ho ng 24 billion. And just in case that DBM will not, cannot give you that amount and hindi ho kakayanin na mag-hybrid, magkano ho yung cost if we just do the usual way of conducting our elections?
If we reuse the vote counting machine that we used in 2019, we have to refurbish it, we have to recondition it and repair it, and then we have to enhance the software. We have our budget, maybe it will cost half of it, half of the 24 billion that will be needed for using the same machine. If we go entirely hybrid or manual, balik tayo manual, even the transmission, manual pa rin tayo, mas maliit yung budget natin. Pero manual tayo, back to 2004, 2007 type of elections. Mas maliit doon. Kasi ang nakamahal lang naman doon yung machine mismo eh.
Okay. Yun lang, Madam Chair, kasi alam nga natin na yung funding source will be a problem and ayaw naman natin na pag pinasa natin to, magiging isa siyang unfunded na batas na alam naman natin kadalasan ganun ang nangyayari. Yan lang po, Madam Chair.
Yes, tama po. I quite agree with that. And next month na yung budget, kaya abala yung mga senador dyan dahil baka hindi nga mapondohan sa dinaming-dami na kinailangan para sa COVID response. I think there are also comments from Eric Alvia and a number of those who are here na in fact, yung mga laptop at yung mga pangkaraniwang gamit, talaga naman mako-configure yan to be able to project also, no? To be able to help us, even with perhaps old DCMs. I don't know. I think there needs to be a technical examination of all these statements, and we have to figure out how to do that. The other question kasi, with Commissioner Marlon, tinatanong rin sila, ilan ba talaga yung server? Kasi nabanggit kanina yung central server, transparency server, bakit daw 3, 4, at 5 ang nababanggit na iba't ibang server? Bakit kinailangan yung napakarami? Hindi pa pwedeng completely linear yung pagtatransmit nito. Dun sa presinto, may 2, manual to be verified, tapos magiging ER, yun na ang itatransmit. Bakit daw ang daming pupuntahan?
Ang pupuntahan talaga after doon sa clustered precinct, sa presinto mismo, ang papuntahan doon is, una is doon sa server, doon papunta sa consolidation, doon sa canvassing center. Next is the transparency server, and then the central server. Yun lang talaga ang pinupuntahan ng resulta natin coming from the precinct level. Yung sinasabi naman nila na may server daw doon sa transmission, it's a technical solution which was discussed even in 2019 with the CAC and the steering committee, and even it was decided by both the PMO and the steering committee and the CAC that it's a technical solution. Kaya nga tinawag lang namin yun as a gateway. Parang it's not a server, it's a gateway para mabilis at walang nawawalang resulta coming from the precinct level going to the 3 servers doon sa canvassing center, doon sa transparency, at sa central server. It's a technical solution, yung sinasabing 4 na server, which even it was discussed during sa meeting namin.
With all due respect po, noong 2019, ako'y tumakbo noon, meron po kaming blackout ng 7 oras. Apparently, this technical solution is not a very good one.
Iba naman yun, Madam Chair. So iba naman yun, Madam Chair, kasi ang naging problema doon is not the transmission coming from the precinct level. Kasi yung precinct level nagtatransmit doon sa transparency server. May findings naman si PPCRV doon na continuous pa rin yung transmission sa transparency server. Ang naging problema lang doon, nung pagkuha ng data from the transparency server, papunta doon sa IBP, sa KBP, at doon papunta sa mga media. Doon ang nagkaroon ng problema. It's not kasi yung transmission from the precinct level, diretso doon sa, hindi naman ganoon yung transmission, kundi doon sa transparency server. And may findings, as I said, may findings yung PPCRV naman doon na continuous yung transmission doon sa transparency server. Nagkaroon lang talaga ng problema nung pagkuha ng data from the transparency server papunta doon sa individual KBP medias and the media and the PPCRV. Doon nagka-problema. And again, hindi siya na solusyonan agad because at that time kailangan talaga ng NBank approval yun, and it happened gabi. Although we discuss is through Viber na lang kasi hindi naman makapag-convene agad ang NBank at that time. Kaya medyo nasolusyonan siya madaling araw na at nasolusyonan din naman namin.
Okay. Kanina pa nag-wave si Jeffrey Ian D. Tama mo ba? You had a question? Jeffrey D.
Hi, Senator Amy. My name is Jeff. I presented for the JCOC for the 2016 elections. I was requested by the Senate President to be present in the technical working group. So I guess it's in the YouTube, but in that presentation, we did testify at in-affirm naman ang members ng technical working group na yung sinasabing, I don't know what it's called, pero yung sinasabing intermediary server used in the 2016 election and I guess also used in the 2019 election. It's not purely routing because it changes some elements of the packets. So I guess ang issue kasi doon, babalik tayo sa transmission na hindi pa natin dinidiscuss, ang dinidiscuss pa lang natin counting. Ang pinag-uusapan kasi dyan is yung transmission route mo na secure, paano makikita ng public kung ano yung dadaan ng servers at saka published ba or yung reviews ba for each of the servers na dadaanan na is going to be published. Kasi yun yung, I guess yun yung main issue po noong 2016 saka naging issue rin naman noong 2019. Ma'am, sorry, Ms. Chairman, Ms. Senator.
Would the Comelec care to answer? Commissioner Marlon, please.
Yes, Madam Chair. Bago namin in-implement po yung sinasabing router namin as a technical solution, we have a meeting with the CAC for that, for the advice. And then yun na nga sinabi ko, unanimously sinabi naman nila is just a technical solution. And during the trusted build, hindi ko pa nga pina-trusted build yung sinasabing router or transmission router kasi we need approval from the ACAC and approval from the NBank. Nung na-approve na ng NBank at ng CAC yun, recommended by the CAC, that's the time pina-trusted build ko. So it is known to the public that there is a transmission router at that time. And not only that, kasama siya sa local source code review. Pinasama namin siya sa local source code review and then wala naman silang nakitang mali siya or ibang mga codes doon na inserted sa code. So we did our best to be known to the public, to the techie persons na alam nila na dumito sa CAC consultation and NBank resolutions as well as trusted build and also the local source code review. In 2016, I don't know what happened in 2016, but that's why in 2019, when I was designated as the steering com, having idea also about IT, so I make sure na lahat complied para hindi tayo ma-question whatsoever the elections.
Yes, I seem to see in the thread Attorney Hubert and Jeffrey B. Meron pa yung follow-up questions tungkol sa statement earlier that you said it's not merely routing that's being done in the transmission from stage to stage. What are you implying? What else is being done at every stage?
Madam Senator, I will just recall medyo nakalimutan ko na kailan ako nag-testify po sa Senate. I don't know if it's last year or 2018. Pero if my memory serves me right, during that hearing, when we analyzed the server logs, maliwanag that certain elements of the packets change. Kasi when you route, dapat ang nagbabago lang ay yung IP address and destination. Pero in this particular case, certain elements of the, like for example, names. Names, hindi lang IP addresses, kung hindi host names, host destinations, nagbabago siya. So like I said, hindi ko naman sinasabing dinaya. Sinasabi ko lang po, from the strict definition of routing, hindi po siya routing. At the minimum, proxy siya. Ibig sabihin na tinatransform niya ang isang bagay para lumipat. Ang proxy po, parang, ang routing po kasi dapat parang toll gate lang. Dadaan yung sasakyan, tapos may toll gate, sasabihin ng toll gate, saan ka pupunta? Pampanga. O sige, dumaan ka na, pumunta kang Pampanga. Itong ginagawa po nito, hindi eh. Saan ka pupunta? Pampanga. O sige, sandali lang. May ibang kotse na pupuntang Pampanga, sumakay ka na lang doon. Parang ganun po yung analogy doon sa nangyari. Sorry without going through the details, pero present naman po namin yung findings namin about that 2016 election. But it's good. If in the 2019 election, North Code review pala, I think it's good. Yun lang po kasi yung open questions during the transmission. Dapat makita rin ng public bawat isang dinadaanan. Hindi lang yung final destination, kundi yung bawat isang dadaanan niya. Kasi doon po nagkakaroon ng anomalya.
Yeah, Jeffrey or Attorney Hubert or Eric or Manong Totti, do any of you have any safety precautions na pwedeng i-recommend para sa every stage? Alam natin that the info package being transmitted is identical and not changing, as you said, from including host names and so on. Ano pa magagawa natin? Banggit na natin yung digital signature, titignan yung standards at usage ng ID and so on. Ano kaya? Attorney Hubert, nakataas ang kamay kanina pa. Eric, Sina Totti. Yes, please. Attorney Hubert, nauna. Attorney Hubert, nasan ka na? Wala. Eric na muna. Eric, yes please. Eric Alvia, please.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. This is precisely why, since early 2016, NAMFIL suggested adopting an open digital data. Now, this is consistent with our commitments, no, to the open data concept. In other countries, like for instance Indonesia, Taiwan, all of the data, no, generated by the process, the electoral process, is transparent, given out to the public, to the voting public. So I agree with Mr. T, no, that what he mentioned is that true. No? During the transmission, there may be some changes in the data packet. We don't know, no, we're not aware. That's precisely why in 2019, we requested COMELEC for certain information or data related to the transmission. This would boost, no, the confidence of the public that nothing is going on and everything is above board and proper. And that's just one of the ways where we can improve the integrity of the electoral process, and also the confidence of the public that it is transparent and everything is above board. So, in the 2022 elections, I hope COMELEC will allow us this time to implement and adopt. Probably we can even make something for the COMELEC to run an open election data system. So lahat po pwedeng pumunta doon. Yung publiko, yung kandidato, even media, no, can access it. This is different from the transparency service, as mentioned. Kasi dapat sa 1969 po, ang nakasaad po doon, dapat simultaneous po yung pag-move ng datos, no, sa mga tumatanggap. Nangyari po, hindi po nasunod yun in the past automated elections. Kaya po, nagkakaroon ng agak-agak. Yun lang po. Thank you.
Okay, it's ironic given the signal difficulties that we're having now that we're all recommending live streaming, digital, and other means that apparently are still so defective here in the Philippines. So, Attorney Hubert, are you better now? Can we hear from you? Yes, Attorney Guevara, please.
Yes, can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear me, Madam Chair?
Yes, please proceed, Attorney Guevara.
Okay. Tama yung nasa nabanggit na ni Eric, no? Yung tungkol sa transmission router server, ever since 2016, 2019, yun naman talaga yung parati namin binabanggit, no? Kasi doon sa kanilang schematic diagram ng buong sistema, ang pinapakita lang nila ay yung pag-transmit mula sa presinto papunta sa BOC, Transparency Server, and COMELEC Server. Hindi nila pinapakita sa kanilang diagram kasi kanino man ay yung transmission router server na pinupuntahan ng lahat ng mga resulta galing sa presinto. Ngayon po, noong 2019, dahil nang sabi ni Eric, gusto natin malaman kung ano yung data packet na nabago sa transmission router server. Importante po natin malaman yon kasi po, gaya nung nabanggit niyo po, merong 7-hour blackout. tama naman po yung explanation ni Commissioner Casqueo na it had nothing to do with that transparency server. It had something to do with the transparency server. That is not our issue. Our issue then in 2019 is ano ba ang saan ba located ang transmission router server? Sino ba ang namamahala sa transmission router server? Sino ba ang pumasok kung meron man sa transmission router server? And that was precisely why kami nung kasama ko ng mga source code reviewers, sila Mr. Alex Ramos, sila Godbert, sumulat po kami sa COMELEC para base dun sa sabi ni Commissioner Casqueo sa publiko, kung meron kayong gustong malaman sa audit logs, sumulat lang kayo sa amin. So ginawa namin, ng grupo namin, the following day, doon nabanggit ni Commissioner Casqueo yan, sumulat po kami sa COMELEC at hiningi po namin yung audit logs ng transmission router server para malamin natin, kaya nasabi ni Eric Alvia, na ano ba ang mga nabago sa data packet ng transmission router server na yan. Unfortunately, up to now, we have not received any response from COMELEC. Be that as it may, what can I recommend? Number one, for purposes of transparency, I recommend that the location of the transparency router server should be mentioned to the public. Number two, the names of people manning the transmission router server should also be made known to the public. Number three, that the data in the transmission packet, transmission router server, the audit logs should be preserved for 3 years from the election period. 3 years po yan. Hindi ko po alam kung pupayag po ang PLDT, ang SMART, na pwedeng i-preserve yung data nila for the 3 years. But ayan po ang minumungkahi ko. Number 4, at siguro po, ito po napaka-importante, dapat po pagbigyan ang third party po, identified by maybe by the Senate Committee on Electoral Reforms, by the House Committee on Electoral Reforms, by the IT community, independent auditors to take a look at the transmission router audit logs. Yan lang po. Maski po maganda ang ating pag-transmit, ang ating manual recording of votes, maski maganda po ang pagsalubong o pag-transmit po sa transparency server sa BOC, sa COMELEC server, ang data na supposedly galing sa presinto, ang pinaka-importante po para sa akin ay ang transmission router server. Wala na pong iba. Yan po ang dapat po pagtuunan ng pansin at dapat po maging transparent ang COMELEC tukol po dyan. Salamat po.
Thank you very much. Would Commissioner Casqueo care to respond? Apo Marlon?
Yes, Madam Chair. Sa pagkaalam ko, Madam Chair, we already submitted to the COMELEC Advisory Council all the audit logs, not only the transparency but all the audit logs. So yung mga request kasi namin, pina-force to na namin through the COMELEC Advisory Council. And then they already conducted their own investigation. So as of now, hindi ko pa alam kung ano yung resulta ng kanilang investigation. So yung request siguro ni yung kanina nagsabi, I don't know nasaan yung request nila. But we can always course through to the CAC because we are very much aware of what happened in the 2019 in the transmission of the 7-hour glitch. That is why we make sure that everything is transparent. So lahat ng mga audit logs pinapakita namin, and then the request is through the COMELEC Advisory Council na yun ang ginawa namin. So I don't know what happened to the request of the gentleman a while ago. And with regards to sa kanyang suggestion, we are open naman for suggestions. In fact, we already have our terms of reference for the transmission. And again, we give that to the CAC through the Secretary of the ICT, Secretary Unasan, of our terms of reference. You can always ask the ICT for that. And even the PPCRB also give the terms of reference. Just maybe you can look at into the terms of reference and then you can insert your comments and suggestions so that we can adjust with our terms of reference for the transmission.
Yes, Commissioner, meron pong kopya niyan, yung terms of reference. Bago po yan for 2022 or are those the same terms as previous elections?
That will be for 2022. May mga binago kami doon to prevent the 7R glitch as to the server, as to the end user or the end laptops. Kasi nangyari kasi doon, suspetsya namin kaya nagkaroon ng parang 7R glitch, getting data from the transparency server going to the media entities. Sila yung nag-provide ng kanilang mga laptops and everything. So maybe there's an issue of something like incompatibility whatsoever. So we include that in our terms of reference. And not only that, we also include in our terms of reference that the voters' receipt will also be transmitted to the transparency server, and that is open for download by anyone. Yung voters' receipt in every clustered precincts, para kung maka-download sila ng kanilang voters' receipt, they can conduct their own manual counting for that. So may mga other enhancement pa doon with the TOR, and then we are willing to provide copy dito po sa hearing na to after this.
You mentioned po there was an investigation, but that was only an internal investigation. Ang COMELEC rin ang nag-imbestiga sa sariling COMELEC.
No, Madam Chair.
O may DICT, o yung police, at yung mga cyber. Kayo rin ba ang nag-imbestiga nun?
No, Madam Chair. We turn over it to the COMELEC Advisory Council composed of DICT, DOST, and other non-government agencies. Sila na po yung nag-conduct. We have no hand on how they conduct the investigation.
Have the results come through? May resulta na ba yung investigation?
Hindi namin we are always following up with the results of the investigation, pero wala pa silang napakitang resulta, except that only yung 7R glitch, meron na silang resulta doon coming from the PPCRB at that time, and then may explanation din yung Smartmatic kung bakit nangyari yun or ganun. But with the other investigation,
akala ko kasi yung TOR lumabas as a result of the investigation. Pero wala pang resulta yung investigation, may bago na tayong recommended TOR. Tama ba yun? Tama ba yun?
May recommended tayo terms of reference para lang to address those kung ano yung medyo kailangan natin i-enhance for the 2019. Hindi naman siya result ng investigation kasi, like for example, the VVPAT, the voter's receipt, is not part of the investigation. Yung additional end user or yung laptop, yung magpo-provide na mismo yung ating provider, kung sino man yung mananalong bidder, hindi naman siya part ng investigation yan. Yun lang naman yun. At saka marami pa kaming enhancement, hindi ko lang ma-recall lahat.
Sige, pero karapat dapat na merong independent audit, hindi po ba? Or at least a different investigator, hindi lang sa loob. Ano? Nandito lang yung CAC. May representative doon yung CAC. Tama po ba? Secretary, meron bang CAC representative? Ang pagdinig ko meron eh.
Well, ang CAC, nandiyan po ang DICT, na sila po yung chair, si DICT secretary po yung chair po siya kasi ng CAC. And then yung nandiyan po rin yung PPCRB, may representatives ng NAMFEL, kasama po sila sa CAC.
Yung nabanggit tungkol sa investigation, yung representative po ng DICT, DOST, nandiyan si Malika Intik, ang mga suki na natin. Meron pa kayong komentaryo tungkol dito sa investigasyon? Natapos na po ba yan or wala pa? Yes, Yusek Manny. Sorry, Dana, hindi ko marinig si Yusek Kaintek.
Hello, ma'am. Napindot ko yung mute. Naririnig niyo na po, ma'am? Yung sa glitch nga nung sa transmission, tama po si Commissioner Casquejo. We're basing it on the PPCRV audit kasi sila na rin po ang nag-umpisa talagang mag-analyze nun. That was submitted to the CAC. Dun sa yung sa mga BCM, in one of the meetings last year, initially we thought of having the PNP and the NBI do the investigation. However, it seems that they are restricted with the fact that there has to be a formal complaint kasi the process of them kasi doing an investigation, it has to be in the context of a complaint. So wala namang complaint because this is like an audit. So I believe the last meeting of the CAC was that parang parehas dito sa sinasuggest ngayon, we are in the process of securing an independent audit instead. The CAC will recommend getting the services of an independent audit. But unfortunately, ma'am, mula nung nag-COVID, hindi pa kami nakapag-convene ulit. So perhaps that will be one of the things that we are going to tackle in the next CAC meeting. Thank you po, Mr. Chair. Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you. Maasahan ba ni Attorney Guevara at sina Alex Ramos at yung iba pang narito na masasagot yung kanilang query tungkol doon na nga sa 2019?
Sige po, Madam Chair, we will make it a topic in the next CAC meeting na mapa-secure yung pagkuha ng external audit report, Madam Chair. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you. I think Toti Casino and Nelson Celis wanted to speak. Is that correct? Toti, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First off, dun sa design ni COMELEC for the pre-printed ballot, what are the safeguards to avoid the overvote? Because in the last election in 2019, there was a reported like 6 million to 7 million ballots were nullified because of overvote. And in 2016, about 2 million were recorded as overvote because of the pre-printed. Why the option to go hybrid is to do away with the pre-printed ballot so that the number of spaces provided for are exactly for the number of positions. That's one. Second, in the last election in 2019, COMELEC said that there are 17 regional hubs. And in 2016, they had 12 regional hubs. What are the functions of these regional hubs? And in spite of that, you still have a transparency server. Because as far as we in Philippine Computer Society are concerned, with the 17 regional hubs, and thank you for the explanation of Mr. D, Jeffrey D, with the proxy server, you can be able to track down the transmission to the website so that to do away with the projector and to save government money from the projector, everybody already has a mobile smartphone that will show the display of the results by a website. They can already see the tally per precinct, per municipality, per province, if that regional hub would operate that way. And that will be cost a lot of substantial savings. Instead of spending 24 billion for the 2022 elections, COMELEC might only probably budget something like 10 billion. That's more than enough to put up a very robust website and a smaller ballot paper. That we see, and to do away with the transparency server because people can already see it instantaneously, the results that has been transmitted to digital certificates issued by the Department of ICT, that the posting on the website are secure, provided also that they use VPN or virtual private network. That way, the transmission is already closed in. It will not be intercepted by any other hacker. So we feel that with the regional hub that the COMELEC did last 2019 election, that is more than enough power to ensure that the results as it's already been seen on the precinct can be posted on a website at the precinct level. Not only that, it even accounts for every candidate, the number of votes that each candidate has garnered, be it in the local or in the national position. That is all, Madam Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And I suppose our COMELEC is also here so they can respond. Perhaps the burning question, ano nga yung 17 na regional hubs na nire-recommend natin? Anong kayang gawin? At talaga bang functional lahat yan? Dahil marami tayong nababalitaan at parating naglalanding sa Santa Rosa kung saan man yun. Kahit na dulo ng daigdig ang pinagdalingan. Yes, Commissioner Po.
Yung regional hub, actually it's a regional technical hub. Ginawa namin yung regional technical hub in anticipation of possible defects of the SD cards or damaged SD cards or corrupted SD cards. So once na may damaged SD cards, tatakbo doon yung electoral board bringing with him or her the SD cards, and then doon i-contact ng DOST, that is man actually by the DOST, i-contact doon, kukuha ulit ng bagong configuration from the Santa Rosa memory room, and then doon ipapadala doon sa regional technical hub. Yun lang po yung purpose ng regional technical hub. But again, the suggestion of Attorney Toti is much very well taken. Pwede naman din natin dagdagan natin yung functions ng regional technical hub para maging transparent yung elections natin. But for 2019 elections, yun lang po yung naging function ng regional technical hub. And hindi naman din COMELEC yung nagmamando doon. It's the DOST personnel just to make sure na may talaga transparency at accountability.
I see po. Matanong lang, magkano yung purely manual na barangay elections nung nakaraang taon?
Hindi ko kabisado yung amount. Ang malaki lang kasi na bulk doon na amount is the salary or the honorarium of the electoral board, kasi yung number of clustered precincts natin is it will increase thrice kasi 400 registered voters lang ang pwedeng i-cluster doon. 400, 300. So ang bulk of the payment would be the electoral board, which is pareho din sa babayaran yung amount ng each honoraria nila. Ganun din. Pero hindi masyado malaki as compared to automated elections.
If the chair may request kung magkano yung purely manual, para may idea po kami dahil sa susunod na buwan, budget time na, at yun nga, nakapending na yung 24 billion para we have a basis for real comparison and true judgment. Kung ano nga ba. Kasi kapag hybrid ang sinabi, parang nagbawas ka ng automation, dapat magmura rin. Kaso, mukhang magiging mas lalo pang mahal imbes na nagbaba yung presyo. Parang kabaliktaran ng mangyayari.
Yes, Madam Chair, kapag nag-hybrid tayo, meron tayong laptop and everything, transmission and everything. Mas mahal siya as compared to the existing system, or compared to purely mas mahal po yung hybrid system.
So marami pa kaming backlog sa mga requests for information from COMELEC. If I could just push, I'm aware that some of these items were actually considered at the unbank today. Pero dagdag lang yung request na for the budget of the previous purely manual barangay election last year. So, gusto ko rin tawagin sana kasi hindi pa nakakapagsalita yung telco. Mukhang may mga representative rin dito, yung Globe, yung Smart. I think perhaps they would have something to tell us. Are there safety features? All these questions about pure routing and the identical data package being transferred or transmitted from end to end. Can we hear po from telcos, Secretary Dana, sino ang representative ng ating telco?
For Globe, it's Attorney Ariel Tubayan, and for Smart, it's Attorney Roy Ibay.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman,
Am I heard?
Yes, good afternoon.
Afternoon po. Yeah, I was listening to all the discussions and I think tama nga po na in every step of the way, po dito sa process is transparency. And then I was also listening to a suggestion where are being asked to preserve the data logs para naman po mapapakita po ito. Kasi sa amin po, in our contract with the providers, the Smartmatic, we collect those logs, provided them within a certain number of days. And then by law also of the National Telecommunications Commission, usually we preserve data logs only up to a maximum of period of 4 months. But if the COMELEC directs us to have a longer period to preserve these logs, then we will comply, Madam Chairman.
You said that the data logs were only supplied to Smartmatic, not to COMELEC?
Our client, Madam Chairman, is Smartmatic. We don't have privity of contract with the COMELEC. So we just provide the transport, the connectivity between the precincts and the servers of our client, Smartmatic, Madam Chairman.
I see. And apropos of the earlier discussion, yung nagkakaduda from stage to stage na yung data packet is not the same. Are there, in addition to data logs, any other safety features we can add, perhaps, or other records we can check to make sure that this is the identical packet?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I think in addition to the independent audit of the source code by third parties, I think it's also possible to have a deep packet inspection to determine the packets, actually a random deep packet inspection. So it may be recommended as one of the technical audits to be done in addition to the source code audit, Madam Chairman.
Sorry, you're recommending an independent audit of source codes by a third party as well as random inspections. Is that correct?
Yes, Madam Chairman, to satisfy I think one of the concerns expressed a while ago is where do the packets go? So I think one way, technical way of doing it is to conduct a deep packet inspection by, I think, independent third parties. Perhaps accredited also by the COMELEC, Madam Chairman.
Yes, that's right. So, you have any knowledge also of these random servers that have been mentioned? Because there's a great deal of discomfiture regarding more than one server. Why is the transmission not direct to a single server? We were told earlier by COMELEC and the Commissioner that in fact this is a technical solution to a great deal of data. Can you comment on this, please, from the part of the telco? Because you have boasted repeatedly about your capacity to handle great amounts of data.
Yes, Madam Chairman, as mentioned by Commissioner Casquejo, it's a technical solution. We provide the connectivity to where the servers are at the data center identified. But I also heard that one of the speakers a while ago mentioned that the data center should be identified. But I think the concern there is, what if some unscrupulous persons bent on sabotaging the election attack that data center? So I think that's one of the reasons why the location of the data centers are kept secret before the elections, Madam Chairman.
But then we all know that COMELEC is intramuros, but we are not inclined to attack it.
Yes, Madam Chairman. Well, I think that because the data resides in the data center, Madam Chairman. So it's actually that site is the most sensitive because that's where all the data on the elections are kept, Madam Chairman.
Yes, You've insisted that your client is Smartmatic, not Comelec or anyone else, because they are the ones who signed the contract with you. Perhaps would you be able to tell us yung stage by stage, ano ba yung procedure niyan? Kasi nalilito ang lahat eh, ang daming server, parang ang daming router. Paano nga ba to? Siguro kahit hindi ngayon, kung makapag-submit sana kayo, paano nga yung proseso sa pagkaintindi ng ating mga IT at higit sa lahat ng telco na siya mismo ang nag-handle?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I think we provided a diagram with this appreciation. Maybe not today, but the next 3 days.
Sure.
Yes.
So, thank you. We'd be very grateful kasi hindi naman kami IT at higit sa lahat, hindi naman kami telco engineer din. So, kung maaari, paliwanag na lang kasi nagkakaduda talaga pag hindi mo naintindihan eh. So, thank you very much. And is there any other representative from the other telco? Dana?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Sino yan? Si Attorney Ibay. Okay. Smart. Thank you. Yes, is there anything you can add to the discussion? I don't want to keep you forever, but perhaps from Smart we can hear some additional safety features kung may ma-recommend kayo.
Yeah, just to briefly supplement what my colleague from Globe elaborated earlier, is that we will ensure that similar to what Attorney Tubayan mentioned, that we were both contracted by Smartmatic during the last elections. We are continuously also trying to improve our network availability and our security to ensure the integrity in the coming elections, Madam Chair. So we just wanted to reiterate that the process of upgrading our network to really ensure security, especially now, given that the pandemic caused a lot of us to really work from home, we upgraded a lot of our cybersecurity measures also in order to make sure that the data integrity that is sent through our networks will be adequately protected, Madam Chair.
Okay, Attorney Ibay, pero siguro tatanong ko, do you suppose our electoral transmission system right now is as transparent as it can be? Or are there other measures we can undertake to make it even more transparent so that the public is not in doubt as to the results of the election?
Well, Madam Chair, looking at data from the past elections, I see that most of the results were actually transmitted during the first 3 hours, no? So what would be very crucial would be the first 3 hours after the polling places have closed. So we will have to probably make sure that current security measures will even be improved to preserve the sanctity and the integrity of the results by then, Madam Chair.
You have no comment on the different servers? Hindi ba pwedeng i-simplify yan? Na isa na lang, paliwanag, makikita ng tao. Paglipat-lipat ng data packet, makikita nila na narito na sa level ng region, narito na sa Comelec, pakipaliwanag na lang po.
As far as I know, there is a published data center, but there is a backup data center that is supposedly conveniently hidden or a secret, no? So that whatever happens to the main data center, there's a resilient backup data center that is actually made confidential, no? And as far as I know, I that has worked, no, in the past 2 or 3 elections. And I think if there are other, I'm not a technical person, but if there are other security technical measures that can be adopted, then we're that would be best for all parties, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Does Commissioner Casquejo wish to make any additional comments? Or yes, Commissioner.
Yes, Madam. Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner, kasi medyo kinabahan na naman kami kay Attorney Ibay. Meron na naman secret backup data center. Nakaka-nervous yung mga secret na yan eh.
Actually, it's just a backup of all the data in the central server. Just in case na magkaroon ng problema doon sa central server, meron tayong backup. Yun lang naman po.
Yes,
purpose.
understood. Oo. It's not necessarily sinister po.
Yes. With regards to yung pag-preserve, maybe you can include that in our TOR so that the winning bidder will have this preservation of the data logs or transmission log for 3 years. So we will include that and it will cost maybe additional budget for that.
Opo, kasi sa
malaki yan.
Tama, kasi sa katagalan ng electoral protest, alam naman natin na imposible yung formats na sinasabi. Speaking of which, meron ring interesting na formulation dito sa recent last week Singapore election. It's the latest of the national elections. Meron silang automatic recount provision. I don't know if that would work here. Kapag 2% or less ang difference between the two top candidates, may automatic electronic recount. No protest needs to be filed. Magre-recount talaga. Would that be very onerous or would that simplify the backlog of protests that we have at COMELEC?
Well, that is advantageous to the COMELEC kasi pag may automatic recount, kapag may discrepancy of 2%, siguro kasi it's advantageous to the COMELEC kasi that is to declog all election protests. Kasi pag nakita naman doon na wala namang discrepancy or hindi siya we can automatically dismiss it. So that is possible. But then again, siguro baka kailangan ng batas yan or a resolution of the COMELEC for that purpose.
Yes, thank you. Kasi alam namin nakatambak sa inyo napakaraing kaso. And we're very grateful, Commissioner, and to the COMELEC for your openness to all these suggestions. Napakaraming suggestion talaga. Sana, inaasahan ko sana, nagka-run through tayo nung recommendation ninyo na COVID nga lang ang buong mundo. So as a result, we have to work on a TWG. So siguro magra-round up na lang ako na sana magpadala. Ayun na siguro, Commissioner Casquejo, your representative should be part of the TWG. In addition, of course, yung Senate panel, yung ilang representative sa amin. At siguro magkukumbida na rin tayo ng DICT, DOST, at syempre, kailangan magkaroon ng konting forum sa lahat ng stakeholders. At higit sa lahat, yung mga IT expert, magkukumbida tayo so that we can convene at TWG. Dahil ang pangako natin na by the opening of session, end of July, may isasabit na tayong hybrid report. So, kailangan yon. Medyo aggressive yung deadline natin, so I'd welcome all your help. So, Secretary Dana, we need to put together a TWG at importante that we get the best and the brightest to help us formulate this.
Okay po, ma'am.
Okay. So,
Hello, Attorney Dina?
So no, we have to wait for the chair.
yes. So thank you very much. I'm just rounding up and tasking that in fact, maraming salamat sa lahat ng dumalo at medyo talagang na-COVID tayo. Hindi tayo nakapag-run through tulad ng gusto namin sana ni Commissioner at ng buong COMELEC, pati si Commissioner ko. Nagpapaumanin po tayo. But thank you very much for being here anyway. Let us put together a TWG at the earliest possible time. And to all of you, let us have the best electoral process that we can muster. Thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Thank you.